Aristotle on the perfect life. Aristotle, the great philosopher of ancient Greece, didn't just ponder the stars and the nature of reality. He also deeply explored the most fundamental question for us all. How do we live a truly good, fulfilling, and perfect life? His answer, detailed primarily in his work The Nicomachean Ethics, offers a profound and surprisingly practical roadmap for modern living, shifting the focus from fleeting pleasures to a concept he called eudaimonia. Understanding eudaimonia, more than just happiness. The word eudaimonia is often translated simply as happiness, but this misses the deep richness of the concept. For Aristotle, happiness wasn't an emotional state. It wasn't a feeling you could have one moment and lose the next. Instead, eudaimonia means flourishing or living well and doing well. It's a state of being achieved over a lifetime of dedicated effort, much like a plant fully realizing its potential. Aristotle reasoned that to know how to live perfectly, we first had to figure out our ergon, our unique function. What is the characteristic activity of a human being? It's not just growing, plants do that, or sensing, animals do that. Our function, he concluded, is our rational capacity, our ability to think, reason, and act according to principle. Therefore, the perfect life is one of rational activity performed excellently. The doctrine of the golden mean, the path to virtue. To perform our rational activity excellently, we need virtue, or arete, which means excellence of character. Aristotle's most innovative and enduring contribution to ethics is his doctrine of the golden mean. This doctrine teaches that virtue is the sweet spot, the perfect midpoint between two extremes or vices, one of deficiency and one of excess. It's not about being lukewarm, it's about being perfectly calibrated. For example, vice, cowardice; virtue, courage; vice, rashness. A courageous person isn't one who never feels fear. That would be rash or foolish. A courageous person is one who feels the right amount of fear and acts appropriately for the right reasons at the right time. This applies to many traits. Generosity is the mean between stinginess and prodigality, wastefulness. Wit is the mean between boorishness, being humorless, and buffoonery, being excessively silly or inappropriate. Temperance, self-control, is the mean between insensibility and licentiousness, indulgence. The perfect life, then, requires us to cultivate these virtues not just by reading about them, but by practicing them until they become a fixed, stable part of our character, a habit. Brain, the role of practical wisdom or phronesis. Knowing the golden mean is one thing. Applying it in the messy, complex reality of life is another. This is where practical wisdom or phronesis comes in. Phronesis is the intellectual virtue that guides us to apply the right ethical virtue in any given situation. It is the ability to deliberate well about what is good and advantageous for oneself, not in a narrow, self-serving sense, but for living a flourishing life overall. Phronesis helps us answer tough questions. When is the right time to speak up with courage? How much money is too much to spend on a gift, generosity? Since the mean is relative to the person and the circumstance, phronesis is the internal moral compass that calibrates our actions. It's what distinguishes the truly virtuous person from someone who just got lucky. It is the master virtue that makes all the other virtues possible. Contemplative life, the highest form of eudaimonia. While a life of moral virtue and civic engagement, the practical life, is certainly an excellent form of eudaimonia, Aristotle argued that there is an even higher form, the contemplative life. Because reason is the highest and most divine part of the human being, the highest activity is the activity of reason itself, philosophical contemplation and scientific inquiry. This life, dedicated to truth, understanding, and the pursuit of wisdom, is the most continuous, the most self-sufficient, and the most pleasant activity available to us. Aristotle suggests that to contemplate is to engage in an activity that mirrors the activity of the gods. A life dedicated to pure thought is the ultimate expression of our human function, and thus the most complete and perfect form of flourishing. While he acknowledges that we must also live in the world, eat, socialize, and care for our bodies, the moments spent in intellectual contemplation represent the peak of human existence. Friendship, philia. Finally, Aristotle emphasizes that the perfect life is impossible in isolation. He dedicates 2 full books of the Nicomachean Ethics to friendship, philia, arguing it is most necessary for life. He identifies 3 types of friendship. 1. Friendships of utility, based on mutual usefulness, like business partners. 2. Friendships of pleasure, based on mutual fun or enjoyment, like drinking buddies. 3. Friendships of virtue, based on a mutual appreciation of the other's character and goodness. Only the 3rd type, friendships of virtue, is perfect, enduring, and essential for eudaimonia. These friends are other selves who encourage you to be better, who provide a mirror for your own moral excellence, and who share the enjoyment of virtuous activity. A life without good friends is a profoundly incomplete life, even for the wise philosopher. A timeless legacy. Aristotle's vision of the perfect life is not a recipe for simple indulgence, but a challenging call to action. Become the best version of yourself by habitually practicing excellence, guided by practical wisdom, and supported by virtuous friendships. It's a lifelong project of self-actualization, focused on the quality of your character rather than the quantity of your possessions. If this deep dive into Aristotle's path to eudaimonia sparked a new perspective on your own life goals, let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you found this exploration of virtue and flourishing insightful. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our philosophical journey for more timeless wisdom.